All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. I got to start and pause it. I had a little bit of an encoder issue actually over there. It said something like video encoding wasn't working. It was waiting for the server to pick it up. And so I spent like 10 minutes trying to get it to process. It should be live, though. I do see the chat is working, so we'll wait and see. Oh, God. Yeah, we got to talk about the Kamala interview. Yeah, that's going to be the main story of the day. It's funny, but it's sad and pathetic at the same time. So we'll be talking about that. We've got Kamala's last-minute bid to try to basically skeeve out of the debate with Donald Trump, trying to change the debate rules at the last minute. ABC told her no. We'll see whether in the end she's successful or not. She might try to throw the debate. Massachusetts strikes down a 67-year-old Switchblade ban, cites landmark Supreme Court gun decision. That's the Bruin decision, of course. We've got a Minnesota news as well. Minnesota to pay $109 million in property forfeiture class action settlement. And, of course, they're trying to prevent the state from having to pay a fucking penny, which is not surprising. States tend to skeeve. It's funny because, I mean, you're using taxpayer money anyway, so, you know, it's not like it comes out of the politicians' pockets, even though it should. Supreme Court blocks, for now, another Biden student debt plan. Yes, indeed. Joe Biden's latest attempt has failed, just like it's failed a couple of other times. They keep trying to amend like the student loan thing and then submit it through the courts. It's not working too well, which is predictable. The whole point is for it to fail. Well, man, I tried to give you student loan debt forgiveness, but the Supreme Court won't allow us to do it. You know, Trump's evil court is preventing us from giving you free funny money. Let's get to some super chats here. Quite a few already. The bonus hole, Sticks. I know you said you don't like crowds, but you should make an exception and catch one of Manson's gigs on the tour he's doing. Saw him the other night, and all I got to say is Manson is fucking back. No, I saw his latest singles. God damn. It's better than Antichrist, actually. And he seems to have de-aged 20 years or so. I don't know exactly what kind of diet this dude is on, but probably a diet of pills and cocaine. But for some reason, he seems to have aged in reverse. It's interesting because there's also Tattooed in Reverse, you know, from one of his songs. 87 Sparker just sent you a news clip. Thank you. I'll take a look at it when I get a chance. Art Funk Butter, why would anyone still vote Dem? There are people that are retarded in our society. There are people with brain damage. And then there are people that are indoctrinated, that they're cult-like. They do exist, unfortunately. Met some of them. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. I couldn't even get 10 minutes into that interview. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Yeah, we're going to be rambling about the Kamala interview, so-called. Twiggy little shit, it's been a weird fucking Friday. Yeah, well, it'll get better later. It'll be much more relaxed. It's leftover day, by the way. Last beacon. Hey, Sticks. Ping us. Hey, ping us. Last beacon. Now that I got that one out, I saw the RSP aggregate has Harris up 1.8. Yeah, but it's nothing. It means nothing. And I am freaking out right now. Don't freak out. Again, I mean, if she's ahead by 6, she probably still loses, if Clinton is any indicator. She's getting a bit of a bounce. She's going to try to hide, but she's probably not going to be able to. I'm sure that Trump's team understands her strategy. Her core strategy is basically disappear and say nothing to people. After we talk about this particular interview, it will become abundantly obvious why that's the case. The link in the description, the first one, is from the Trump War Room. This is just a series of clips from the interview of Kamala Harris that was on CNN with Dana Bash, actually, the other night. And she was accompanied by Tim Walz. To say train wreck would be an understatement. And this isn't going to show up in polling for a few days. Keep in mind that normally polls go over a period of like 3 or 4 days. So this isn't what you're seeing in the polling right now doesn't take the interview into consideration. Here's the interview in a nutshell. Kamala Harris is asked a question. She then proceeds to ramble about the middle class or American values or something like that, and never actually gets around to answering the question at all. She is repeatedly pressed on things. Actually, Dana Bash did a better job than I expected. Kamala Harris just did a more poor job than I expected. She never really answered any questions. There's no substantive policy actually there. Like with Donald Trump, we know what he did as president, and we know what he's proclaimed he wants to do if he's reelected. He's made it very abundantly clear. He's made a number of videos on subject of like, here's my tax proposals, it's Agenda 47. So here's my tech-free speech proposals, and here's my diplomatic proposals. We know, I mean, he's a known value. And what Kamala Harris is trying to do, and this interview lays it very bare, is to hoodwink people by sloganeering and saying, well, America great, progress and shit like that, sloganeering, like Obama style, while copying Trump's homework Clinton style, like Clinton did with Ronald Reagan, while not actually releasing any particular policy proposals at all. So there's nothing there. The whole point is to be vacuous. If you are vacuous, then it's hard to hit you on any issue. This will change with the presidential debate, assuming that it happens, which is why the Kamala campaign is trying to kick the debate. By the way, we'll be talking about that separately in the next part of this live stream. Kamala Harris is trying to be an unknown quantity. So basically, it's generic Dem versus the guy that you know. So if you don't like the guy that you know, if you're an independent voter and you're like, well, I'm not really sold on Trump's policies, then the hope is that they'll default to Kamala Harris. Her lead is underwhelming and probably doesn't even exist at all, considering the weighting of the polls. We talked about that on the quartering just the other day on Wednesday. And I don't think in the end will work. I still believe that Donald Trump is very likely to be reelected to office. I'm not worried at all. I'll be worried if in November, Kamala Harris is elected, because then I'll say, well, okay, maybe I need to get more potassium iodide. I should definitely buy more ammunition, and probably, plow in a double-sized garden, because the food prices will probably go up even further. I can't imagine that under the current situation with the economy the way that it is, etc., that Americans will be hoodwinked into voting for Kamala Harris. I would like to have more faith in the American people than that. And if she is elected, then it's not literally over. It's just like, why have you voted to give yourself another hard 4 years? Because we already had that under Joe Biden. Only now you've got someone in there who's even more insufferable and arguably even more incoherent at times. This interview was an absolute fucking disaster. You had everything lined up for Kamala Harris to do a good job, by the way. You've got a friendly network. CNN's literally partnered with the White House. You had a relatively friendly journo. She did do a good job, but at the same time, there were softballs in Dana Bash. You got the questions beforehand. This is not an unscripted interview. You have your security blanket, Tim Walz, with you, and it was heavily edited. At the same time, and it wasn't even live. It's not an interview at all. They parsed it down. Apparently, the interview was about 42 minutes long or something like that. They've released like 20 minutes of actual content. When I'm watching it, I'm just cringing the entire time. It doesn't surprise me. The level of stupidity there surprises me. It was worse than I expected. I mean, it should have gone off without a hitch. Kamala Harris should have been at top form. Instead, she's muttering. She's not even bothering to answer the questions. And even when pressed very gently by Dana Bash, she basically freezes up. It was a terrible, terrible interview. I mean, this was worse than Biden's debate performance against Trump, arguably. It actually surprised even me how poor it was. And keep in mind, again, she has to weather a debate with Donald Trump. Possibly. We're not sure if it's going to happen at this point. We'll talk about that in a moment. BB, what is your prediction for Texas and Florida president? Too many people still believe polls in those states are accurate. Do people remember 2020 or 22? They'll both go for Trump. I'm not worried about those either. Ugly Doll, IVF, the new Roe v. Wade. Yeah, Trump has waylaid that issue. The bonus holes. No, I mean live. Go see him live. Although apparently he got sober. He was getting pretty sloppy live before and gained weight. I saw him in 2019 and it was a great set, but nothing in comparison to Wednesday night. Oh yeah, if he's gone sober, Jesus. Yeah, no wonder he's lost a bunch of weight. He looks like he did when he was 35, actually. Comio 325. This is a pundit rubber match. They melted down in 2016. We melted down in 2020. Whoever gets this one wrong was the real buffoon after all. Opinionated junkie. I am not worried about Trump losing. Establishment wants to continue indictment and place him in jail. Lol. Never interrupt your enemy making a mistake. Yeah, that's the other thing is indictment gate. That's going to come and rear its head in September as well. Nominal topic sticks. Thanks so much for listening and reposting my music video, Red Market, which is also on YouTube. Happy you enjoyed it. Clank. Yeah, some good shit. I always like music. Drake, we are clanking our motherfucking 10.2s up in this bitch. Hashtag TGIF. That's what I'm talking about. Wasted Bonehead. I would have done better in that interview, and I'm a damn corpse. Yeah, it was inexplicable, actually. It was strange watching it. I watched it so you don't have to. Although you probably should still watch it because you should be an informed voter. Don't expect to see anything other than incoherence there. It's pretty bad. Last weekend, I need brain bleach from what Cisse said about Kamala giving head. I do not need to see a 60-year-old giving head. And I have to agree on the whole getting potassium iodide and ammunition because that bitch will fucking nuke us. Yeah, I mean, she's nuts. She's a literal psychopath. Wasted Bonehead. Tim Walz probably pimp slapped Kamala after such a poor performance. No, he is a lapdog. This reminds me of Pelosi and Schumer, this particular dynamic. He's trotted out to be the coherent sort of face of reason. I mean, he is reasonably well-spoken. While Kamala sits back and cackles, basically. Hasten, I have never caught you live and have been listening for nearly a decade. Keep it up. I miss the frequent occult videos. I do intend to make more of those. Don't worry, I've got some lined up. It's just right now it's election season. It's more difficult to get to non-political content. Last weekend, I really don't have faith in the American people, America, or rather the Democrats for the last 11 years. Gone from anti-war to being pro-war, all of because of Edward Snowden. Yeah. And a follow-up, I mean, the Democrats have gone from being pacifistic anti-war people into being Cold War paranoid psychopath. Yeah, I know. I mean, I've noticed the same thing. Wasted. If Manson wants to hit an absolute home run, he'll tour with Alice Cooper. Those two would go great together. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Let's see. BW, did you see Trump's new IVF policy? Good idea. Yes, I did. I'll be talking about that tomorrow. The Witch Queen of Angmar. Does Kamala not debating help or hurt her odds? It would be unwise for her not to debate, but I think she's going to take a slamma-jamma if she does. It's basically a lose-lose for her. That's why I'm not worried. John Marafa, come on, Camel Face is the child who whiffs at T-ball. Daniel says, Sticks, can you give my GFM a shout out? My dog is in critical condition. I could use all the support possible. GFM is Lanny's Fight for Life. Okay, you've got a shout out there. So yeah, Lanny's Fight for Life. Ermsey, Harrison Walls, Crazy, Corey and Trevor. Smokes, let's go. Yeah. Then there's the second Kamala-related story. The Kamala Harris campaign was trying to change the rules for the ABC debate at the last minute. You've got less than 2 weeks to go. It's September 10th. And they wanted unmuted mics. They did this again. They literally did it again. They were talking about it before days ago. Well, we want unmuted mics at the debate. And Trump came out, and I said, unwisely, and said, well, yeah, I'm fine with that. That's perfectly fine. But his campaign said no. His campaign said, no, we're keeping the original rules or we're not going to have a debate at all, which I think is wise. I disagree with Trump on this. It is wise to have muted mics. You are depriving Kamala Harris, and this is why her campaign keeps trying to change these rules to an open mic sesh. They want a situation in which Donald Trump, who has a tendency to talk over other people, we must admit he has some rhetorical flaws as well. They want a moment in which she's speaking, she's responding to a question, and Donald Trump comes and he talks over her or insults her or says something like that, and she can do the sassy woman thing, the girl boss thing. I'm speaking, basically. That's their desperate desire, is to do the I'm speaking thing, because then you know exactly what the legacy media is going to talk about endlessly. Kamala Harris was stunning and brave and stood up to bully Trump. That's exactly what they want. But now they're being deprived of that. ABC has said no, they're keeping the original debate rules. We'll see if Kamala is man enough to show up actually for the debate at all. Even odds says she might not. There's a possibility that there is no actual presidential debate. We went from having 3 structured debates years ago in every other election cycle, and sometimes a second VP debate, by the way, to having, well, there might be none this election season. They keep parsing it down. The debates are the lifeblood of content creators such as myself who do, the political content creation. What gives? I was originally, the idea was you had the first debate was the general debate. Usually the VP debate was then second, and you might have had another one. Then you had a dedicated foreign policy debate, and then you had a town hall. I think that Trump should show up for the Fox town hall on, I think it's September 4th, unilaterally, and he should just talk to the American people. Just tell Kamala, basically berate her and say, well, I mean, she didn't show up. I did. I'm actually willing to talk to people about issues. Trump needs to make this, by the way, an issue about issues, if you will. It's issueception. He needs to point out to the American people as often as possible, I am very forthcoming about what I believe in. My opponent is effectively hiding at this point. She doesn't want you to hear what she has to say because she knows that what she has to say will be unpopular because it's bullshit. That's basically, that could be effectively his campaign. He's fleshed out everything already. Now Kamala Harris is trying to jump the debate. It doesn't surprise me in the least. I expected that this sort of shenanigans might actually be a thing. But it's completely unacceptable from the sort of person that you want to be commander-in-chief. You want them to be a good communicator. It is important within diplomacy. And you want to know what they actually intend to do. Well, I don't know Kamala Harris' particular position on fracking. I mean, it's a minor issue. It's a back burner issue, but, it's still kind of meaningful. The American energy industry is meaningful. I don't know where she stands on, what the tax rate's going to be. I know Trump's tax plan. I know it in and out. He wants to expand upon the tax credits he's already created. On child tax credit, she deflected on that as well. And they said, well, we're going to give $6,000 to families for a child for the first year of the child's life. Okay, very well. Why don't you talk about the fact that your plan actually underpays people compared to the Trump-Vance plan after simply a second year, because they're offering $5,000 a year for the first 18 goddamn years of a person's life, as opposed to, you're giving them $6,000, but then it drops to $3,600. Dana Bash never followed through, by the way, on that one. She should have compared the two plans and said, look, here's the average savings for a person, assuming their child doesn't die in infancy under the Trump-Vance plan versus your plan.
So why should if the American people, if they have like kids or something, why would they go with your plan? They're actually making a lot less money. By the way, I support any expansion of the child tax credit. I think the less taxes that people can pay, the better, because the government's just going to use it to bomb people anyway. Unfortunately, it doesn't go towards the homeless, the helpless, or anything like that. It goes towards illegal aliens or bombing people. That's mainly where our money is going at the moment. Pablo Mio. Sticks, in South Dallas, I hear that Venezuelan flags fly on apartment buildings. I never would have thought it possible. People need to get prepared. Enjoy the weekend. Yeah, I talked about the Aurora, Colorado Venezuelan migrant takeover actually this morning. It is surreal. I mean, you never could have imagined it when I was a kid. Wasted Bonehead. Afraid I have to leave you clankers early. Peace out. Clank on like the legends you are. Wasted has to go and crepitate in the grave. He has to go and pop his corpse bubbles. VW, that's why if Trump gets into office, they need to pass new campaign laws that will keep the Democrats from being able to avoid media and not answer questions. It's more, there shouldn't be like a law that says that a person running for office has to appear before the public. It's more an issue of decorum. And Kamala's breaching that big time. I mean, Biden did in 2020. That's the whole reason that they're doing it. Yeldar, 1983. Holy shit, I actually caught a live stream. Got a tip for our resident fungus-loving gardener and vegan cooking enthusiast. Have you ever heard of chicken of the woods? It's bright orange. Yeah, I saw one in the Netherlands, actually. It was enormous, too. Probably delicious, but I didn't pick it, though. I wanted it to go to spores, basically, and make more chickens of the woods. Last, Beacon in. I'll tell you what gives the establishment, want Kamala for more shoveling more money in Ukraine and possibly into other wars. Yeah, they want war. It's quite clear they want war. Friedrich Bormann, clank clank sticks, this is me, Russian libertarian again. Please check your DMs on Twitter as we wrote you regarding collaboration between you and Mr. Zvetov. By the way, he will appear on Viva Fry's channel in 40 minutes. Sounds cool. Yeah, please bump it to the top. I don't think that I got your DM, actually. Opinionated Junkie, Wes Moore will be a threat in future elections. Happy Plague Doctor, what do you think of the term unthaw? Razorfist used it in his rant this morning. Unthaw to freeze again. Maybe, I don't know. Warshock, do you think that when Trump gets in office that he will get in the way of the marijuana rescheduling? No. He's quite clearly, he takes a hands-off sort of 10th Amendment approach to these issues. Same with abortion. Chewy Fernandez, I laughed my Hispanic ass off on the CN interview. Oh my God, yeah. It's pretty bad. Emperor Soft Turtle, you were wrong about Kamala not being too damaged by an interview. Slogans only work when you can say them with energy and conviction, and your slogans can't contradict themselves in the same 20 minutes. Possibly. I'm hoping that you're right. The Sumerian. Kamala looked weak and not presidential, overshadowed by VP Uncle Fester Walls. Yeah, it's almost like he's the candidate and she's the running mate. You probably noticed that particular optic dynamic. Opinionated Junkie. Tim Walz equals poor man's Nikita Khrushchev. Hashtag bald gray. And Wai Ho Huang, hi. Well, hello to you too. Yelled Barb, shelf fungus, and yes, it tastes like chicken, hard as that is to believe. P.S. You can get cultivation kits too. All you need is the spores and some oak logs. I'm going mushrooming actually in a couple of days. It's going to pour rain over the weekend, and then the plan is to go mushrooming directly after. I've never seen a chicken of the woods here in Vermont. You can get Bolitas. There's a lot of those around the Rutland area, Bolitas. VW, I disagree. Dems have to be forced to do right. Also, tax credits for babies equals more babies. We should also do help for daycare as long as the parents work a certified amount each week. Yes, I agree with you. And last speaking, I swear to almighty God that the Democrats are so obsessed with Edward Snowden and getting Putin out of Russia so that they can put their own puppet in and have them craft docs to incriminate Trump. Darth Corn Pop, what are the chances that Arizona's election officials will pull an Andrew Jackson and ignore the recent Supreme Court decision, i.e. they made their decision, let them come enforce it? It's possible, of course. Let's get to our sponsors. I see the Anton is there, so we'll get to those before we get to more news. Sometimes it's difficult. I mean, there's so many super chats, it's hard to actually get to the news at all. We have cultivated-mind.com, the land of various mushroom pills. These are extracts, and they are organic. And I notice that they give me more energy. Like, I run on 4 or 5 hours of sleep most nights because of my insomnia, and they really do give me a boost. Even when I'm not caffeinated, there are days when I don't get my caffeine either. We've got pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get belt chains, keychains, bookmarks, good for your bibliophile friends and family members, and engraved spoons, and much, much more. There's also glassware available now, pumpkinfirecrafts.us. We've got BiltongUSA.com, the home of Anton's sweet meat. You should put it in your mouth. Also, Sticks, X, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available there. Biltong is an interesting meat. It's it was originally made in South Africa, and Anton has brought it to Roanoke, Texas. And boy, oh boy, is it fucking good. You get those links like the Angus or the Carbonaceae, and you can go and put them in your pocket, literally, and just go garden, and you've got a quick protein pick-me-up. We've gotten Wicked Needle Embroidery.bigcartel.com. I promised people I wouldn't forget to wear one of the hats. Yes, indeed. These are available now from wickedneedleembroidery.bigcartel.com. There are several designs and colors available, actually. I just picked this one out at random. I know the one with the offset logo, I think more people liked that. I kind of like this one myself because it says, my username. And so I'm happy to wear it. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com, the land of seed survival buckets, as well as Sticks, X, and Hammer soap. Our proprietary blend is cedar, clove, and blueberry. There's another one that's arguably even better that they designed, and it's marjoram and lavender, and it's forthcoming. By the way, to Heritage Heirloom, if you're tuning in, that soap gets an A+ and should definitely be marketed as the Sticks, X, and Hammer soap for females because it was, it's again, gives a good lather. It's a nice color. It's sort of a magenta color, swirlies on it, and great. This is one of their soap blocks. This is the regular Sticks, X, and Hammer soap. It's not going to focus on it, is it? It looks and smells delicious. Yeah, I like both of them. I think are the best soaps, actually, that the company is making. I may be biased because they're Sticks branded, but at the same time, I would not be promoting them if they weren't good. They're really good. We've got websterswares.com/sticks-wares, where you can get some metal straws so you can save some sea turtles. You saw that video with the sea turtle that had to have the straw extracted from its nose. It wasn't pretty. Also, blades available. Jackets, flags, all sorts of cool shit. They've got Trump merchandise too, which is helpful. And Trump flags, and I think they've got yard signs, if I remember correctly, and various miscellanea. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is JAMNbean.com, the land of Sticks, X, and Hammer endorsed coffee. Their prototype #2 blend, which will be named, will be available, I think, sometime soon. Till then, just get the Costa Rica blend. Just trust me. That one, you fucking, they probably can't even keep it in stock half the time because it's so good. Smooth. Actually put it in the chili that I made last night. There was jam and bean coffee in it. You put some coffee in the chili, and so literally I used brewed coffee as part of the broth, and it's delicious, actually. Gonna have leftovers tonight. That is too many super chats and rumble rants. I can't get to them all. Spider Eternal. It's frustrating knowing the tax system isn't being used to solve problems. Make student loan payments completely tax deductible. Make the standard deduction $75K. Look, my solve student loan debt. Luzapan. Trump's main drawback that causes other problems is being controlled by those with a potentially larger than average olfactory sense. Won't mention for YouTube, but still the obvious choice this time. Hasten, why don't you drink coffee during your videos anymore? I've missed the clank. Grats on the fan, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, I probably should. Well, I'd need to get a coffee maker here or something.
This is Mike. Clanky motherfuckers. Clank, I say. Remember that Trump skit where he buys a lady's car and then the children sit in the back seat, gives one of those kids $12K to shut up. Yeah, I think I've seen that skit. Also the one with Rudy Giuliani where Rudy Giuliani is dressed in drag. That one was a fundraising video, but it was taken out of context for political reasons. Cultivated mind, chicken of the woods, or maitake is delicious. It's also medical. I put it in one of the blends. They are difficult to grow, though, requires a very specific environment. Yeah, there's chicken of the woods, I think, in one of these, if I remember correctly. Yeldarb, Sticks, I've been meaning to ask. You have a soapbox with your name attached, and you make political videos. How the heck do you not put out 8-bit sticks on one of the soapboxes? Lol. I don't know. Last Beacon. I know that sounds a little conspiracy theory-ish, but it has been a theory of mine for the last 7 years, ever since Trump won in 16. And Libertarian Spirit just joined. Long time ago, I mentioned you, Russian libertarian Mikhail Zvetov. Here is topic for possible discussion. Left liberal U.S. deep state runs the entire Russian opposition, the scale unprecedented. Yeah, no, I'd be willing to talk with the dude. By the way, we've got Bruin decision news. Massachusetts strikes down a 67-year-old Switchblade ban, cites landmark Supreme Court gun decision. It's self-evident that a Switchblade is no more dangerous than any other form of knife. The fact that it's capable of literally cycling in and out with the flip of a switch does not impact the deadliness of the actual knife. No, you can buy a steak knife at the store, and you don't need unlike in the UK, you don't need an ID to do that. You can buy a hunting knife. You can buy a buck knife. You can buy an artillery sword. Yeah, by the way, this is pretty good. It's Argentinian. I fucking love this sword. It's my favorite, I think. Well, actually, I guess my favorite is, well, I think I've got this backwards. The problem is that the scabbard is a little bit tight to it. But yeah, I think that my fan-made cutlass is my favorite, but the artillery sword is a close second. You can buy sabers on eBay. You don't need an ID to do that. You can buy swords. You can buy goddamn battle axes and maces and all sorts of shit. Switchblades were effectively singled out because greasers were buying them. By the way, the Stay Greasy dude, he'll show up at some point. They were singled out because they were associated with gang violence, which makes absolutely no sense, effectively. It was basically like a style statement for the greaser generation. And so a lot of states began banning them. Of course, this dates back to the like the 60s or 70s. I think that would be 1962 or something like that. That's the reason why they banned them. But it's just a knife. All it is a blade. You can use a switchblade to cut cheese if you want to, but multiple states banned them. There's in the state of Vermont here where I am, I think there's a limit like on the length of the switchblade. That makes no sense either. So you can get a knife that hinges out to the side of any length, and it doesn't matter. Like you could literally hinge the artillery sword here, and that would be fine. I mean, take quite a bit of effort to actually do the thing, but you could do that. But you can't do it with, you can't do it if it's, frontal switch. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. So under the Bruin decision, that has been now overruled in the state of Massachusetts. You can finally get switchblades there. I obviously support this decision. Any sort of anti-weapons laws that exist are all unconstitutional. Yes, you should literally be able to mail order a Tommy gun. The only exception is that you should have to show some form of state ID to acquire weapons. And some of them, you shouldn't have to show ID to get a knife, by the way. The reason being you need to establish that you're actually a citizen of the United States. Other than that, because you're a member of the militia then. Other than that, perfectly fine. Do whatever the fuck you want. Yes, I want you to be able to mail order a Tommy gun, full auto. I think that they should be able to manufacture them. We should be able to import weapons as well. Weapons imports are more regulated, as long as they have to do with certain classes of weapons, like the M1. For some reason, you can't manufacture automatic weapons anymore, and it's rather sad.
All I would use a Tommy gun for is chopping down trees. Imagine how fun that would be. Saw a video where someone modified a 22 and he was chopping down saplings with it. And I'm like, damn, I wish that I could do that. Blind Boy Gaming, RCP relaunched the iOS app for the interested. Interesting. Last beacon, my dude. Yeah, a little bit of pingus goes a long way. I've only got a little bit of pingus. It's not actually a 10.2. Self-deprecation is the best form of fucking humor. Just ask Twiggy over there. Yeah, I mean, you know, she owns a microscope for a reason. Webster's Wares. Good morning, Clankers. Free shipping using code STICKS at websterswares.com. Free shipping on orders over $40. Use code CLANKER2024 for 15% off site-wide. New Trump and Sticks merch available. Spider Eternal. How likely is it that Kamala steps down immediately after winning and the deep state installs yet another unelected official? Kudos to the other clankers in chat that had the same thought. Very unlikely. She is an egotist. She wants that position. She genuinely wants to be the big boy. Crossover Maniac, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't all of the plastics coming from China because they don't care about dumping trash in the ocean? If so, how the hell does a straw ban in the U.S. accomplish anything? It doesn't. That's the whole point. I'm just saying that there are, on Webster's Wares, there are metal straws available. You can reuse them infinitely, so you don't have to use, you know, the non-recyclable plastic straws that clog up the turtles' noses. Rocky, if Michelle is female, explain the bulge on Ellen. Probably the panties riding up. Maybe she just has a big pubic mound or something like that. Well, maybe she has just a puffy vagina. Minnesota to pay $109 million in property forfeiture class action settlement. The legislature this session is poised to allocate state funds for the session, although the Tim Walz and others are trying to stand in the way of it. What happened is that they were seizing properties in the state of Minnesota, and then they were effectively selling them for a higher amount than the taxes that were owed on the property. And they were pocketing the difference. But the Minnesota Supreme Court ruled 9-0, actually, in favor of the plaintiff in this particular case, suing. I'll read this verbatim a little bit. The U.S. Supreme Court last year ruled 9-0 in Tyler versus Hennepin County, this U.S. Supreme Court, so it's binding, that the county violated a woman's constitutional rights when it sold her forfeited property for more than she owed in taxes and pocketed the difference, or the surplus. Of course, she should have gotten that. After the ruling, 2 class action lawsuits were filed against the state on behalf of Minnesotans who lost their properties to tax forfeiture, and the counties kept the surpluses. The hefty budget item raises a question. Why is the state paying for counties' illegal takings? Yeah, it's interesting. Why should state taxpayers from other areas have to pay for forfeiture cases in these particular locations? Very, very interesting now, isn't it? And the government doesn't make any money of its own. This is the only profitable thing that a government can do, steal from you. That's the whole point. That's why I'm a classical liberal. Liz Kramer, Minnesota's Solicitor General, said the counties kept a portion of the funds, but they were acting in accordance to state statute, and the properties were taken in the name of the state of Minnesota. Because of that involvement in the forfeitures, the legislature is poised to pay the $109 million settlement amount. Yeah. Enjoy, Minnesota taxpayers. You have to absorb the cost for the wrongdoings of several counties in your state. On Friday, Democratic farmer labor leaders released a budget agreement detailing how much lawmakers will spend this year and above last year's 2-year, $72 billion budget. Governor Tim Walz, let that sink in, House Speaker Melissa Hortman, DFL Brooklyn Park, and Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy, DFL St. Paul, announced a $477 million agreement, which included the settlement, but it explained nothing about it, even though it takes up nearly 23% of the spending agreement. This is a responsible, thoughtful agreement that maintains a balanced budget while funding our state's most urgent needs for critical infrastructure, public safety, and emergency services, Walz said in a statement. Last week, Walz also released his own budget proposal. It did not include the settlement. So yeah, there's some chicanery going on over there. This story is actually dated to March, so I don't have any updates on it, but I was specifically requested by a subscriber to cover it. Sounds like shenanigans to me, my dude. Not that that surprises me at all, considering Tim Walz is even remotely involved. Let's see. Dust thou art. Sticks, what do Supreme Court decisions and federal laws matter if state and local governments just ignore them anyway? Take marijuana and gun laws, for example. Well, I mean, marijuana is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And people will ignore gun laws too. So there is a good point to be made there, though. Sometimes states or municipalities effectively ignore decisions. Federal government ignores decisions. Noah Bodie, even money, Kamala isn't the Dem nominee by November. She will. She is the Dem nominee. She's already been minted. SC Woods, Tommy guns are about as accurate as a pitched baseball and have about the same effective range. I think that a 45 bullet will kill you at 100 yards. Yeah, might not exactly be the most accurate weapon, but it'd still be fun. Yeldar, do you think Kamala is just stupid, or will the presidential limo have to be a short bus if she, God forbid, wins? Yeah, I think that they'll need to have a short bus for her. Short bus Kamala. Hey, that could take off. Last speaking. Her being the big boy is what scares me. She's almost like Hillary Clinton, but for the Gen X crowd, and that's what worries me. And like Hillary Clinton, she'll lose, I think. DO7JJ, good afternoon, Sticks. So, gang raid in Colorado. Okay, but ATF raid on Americans in San Antonio, perfectly fine. Also, did you see the snipings near San Antonio Army base? I did get a tip-off about that story, but I didn't have time to look into it. And then finally, in our final news, Supreme Court blocks, for now, another Biden student debt plan. The move followed a decision last year that the Biden administration had overstepped its authority by trying to forgive more than $400 billion in student loans. Thank you for robbing the taxpayers' coffers to pay for people who, probably in some cases shouldn't have even gotten a degree. I think it should be conditional. Let's say you got a degree in something useful like nuclear engineering. Okay. I'm willing to pay a few extra dollars collectively to pay off your student loan. That's fine. You're an asset to society if you've got that form of employ. But if you got like a women's studies degree, Holocaust studies, black art from the Renaissance or something like that, no, you shouldn't have your student loans forgiven. Let's face it, degrees are not created equally. Some of them are more useful than others. Some of them are meaningful, some of them are meaningless, and some fall in the middle. For instance, I went for anthropology mainly and political science, which has definitely informed my career trajectory. I don't ask anyone to pay off my student loan debt. I already did that myself, and I was proud to do so. I was happy when I made that payment. I'm like, well, fuck you. You don't get any more interest. And so, yeah. The Supreme Court on Wednesday temporarily blocked a new effort by President Biden to wipe out tens and perhaps hundreds of billions of dollars of student debt. In other words, rob people of tens or hundreds of billions of dollars. The plan was part of the president's piecemeal approach to forgiving debt after the Supreme Court rejected a more ambitious proposal last year that would have canceled more than $400 billion in loans. Mr. Biden has instead pursued more limited measures, very limited, by the way, directed at certain types of borrowers. In other words, discrimination. That's the whole goddamn problem with the proposal, including people on disability and public service workers and refined existing programs. So basically, if you have gotten crippled up or if you work for the government, Biden wants to give you taxpayers' money. People who are crippled up already get taxpayer money in the form of SSI, number one. And people who are public workers are literally being paid already by the public. If you're working for a government bureau, for the State Department or something like that, you don't need any more money than you're already getting. Your money already comes from the taxpayers. That's the whole point. Spider Eternal, Kamala versus Hillary. Who wins in a drinking contest? I mean alcohol, not horse semen or Xanax. That would be hard. Actually, I don't know the answer. I mean, they're both obvious alcoholics. I don't know which one would win. Hillary has more age on her, so that means that her liver can't process it as easily as it used to, but she's got more drinking experience than Kamala. I think I'm Team Hillary on that one. I think Hillary could drink Kamala under the table. In fact, the only way that I would possibly support anything that either of the two of them would do is if they had a drinking contest live stream. Yeah, I want a Kamala versus Hillary live stream drinking contest. And I would literally pay to see that. I don't care if it's funding their campaign. It would be hilarious. By the way, please send no more super chats. I'm going to keep it a little bit short because it's Friday, and also I'm starving. I've got V8 on hand. Oh, shit. I didn't bring my V8 over. Just a second. I think it's over here, but I can't remember. I think I put it in my computer case. Where's my V8? Did I bring you? No, damn it. I forgot it. No, I'm stupid. I was going to drink some V8 in celebration of one of the greatest drinks of all time. Fortunately, I didn't bring it. Sticks, did you see my DM about the Dallas-Fort Worth shootout, says King of Biltong. Yes, I did, and I'll look into that. Libertarian spirit. U.S. has a rich history of liberty. Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, and so on. Hence, nationalist Americans saying what Americans way, what's not. However, in other countries, nationalists get stuck. Nationalism isn't productive. I believe in nationalism, but I believe in subjugating that to the civic system of that nation, in the United States case. I don't really care what other nations do. Jeremy Tricosi, Sticks, considering this fall Kamala interview, do you get the feeling that the MSN isn't all in on Kamala? Did you see Don Lemon's Man on the Street? I didn't see the latter. And yeah, I'm getting the feeling that the legacy media is kind of raising its eyebrows at Kamala, probably because she's not giving them interviews. It's only for self-serving purposes. Toxic Mix, key to the debate for me. Trump can't let Kamala crying my border bill go unanswered. He needs a strong, coherent retort on how it was bad, or better yet, force her to explain how it was good. True. Damables, Sticks, call us the slur Latinx. I give you the pass. Yeah, I say Latina or Latino. By the way, Latina women, yeah, okay. I won't say any more. BW, did you read my last Rumble rant? Sorry on 2 lives. Yes, I did. Java Ally. If RFK is forced into the ballot by Wisconsin, then Biden should forcibly remain on the ballot by Republicans also. This has been pointed out. That is a good idea. Raise a stink about it and say, look, Biden, missed the date as well in a couple of states. RFK definitely did, though. It is objective that he did miss the withdrawal date, and therefore he must remain on the ballot. This is state law. There's nothing to be done about it. The Democrats aren't actually wrong, but I believe that Biden missed that date in a few states as well. He should be on the ballot also. Tommy Robinson. No student loan forgiveness. Make access to student loans conditional instead. No more loans for useless degrees that won't pay off. Yeah, I agree. If you're going to go to a standard 4-year academic program, it should be for something useful. Now, that's not to say that I don't have any problem with people who are more into like the arts, music, anthropology, like I was into. But they're not. The idea of you getting a job from that is less important. If you go into engineering and you're a straight A student, then you've got a job fresh out of college. You've gone into mathematics, you're going to do accounting or something like that. Into science, you're working in a lab. You're going to be a chemist. You're going to be a pharmacist. All of these are fine options. Or if you're in sports, for example, universities spend an inordinate amount of money on sports and stuff like that. Sticks, when are you eating the South African MRE? I will definitely, don't worry, I will be eating that. I'm sure that it's incredible. But you got to understand right now during election season, things are packed with politics. And then there's also occasionally other news that I have to cover. So it's difficult. Joe, you're hungry again? Yeah, I mean, yeah, this time of day I usually am. I keep myself hungry while I'm making my videos because I notice that it makes me work harder. Yeah, don't worry, Anton. I'll be eating that, and also I've got a bunch of other MREs that I've got to eat through. One thing I've got to do is clean up my area here. You can't see it, but there's a little bit of a mess in front of me. And I would like to clean it all off, but I'm going to have to like make a day of it. I want to reformat the office. Because another thing is the grow lamps go over there on the shelves, which again, you can't see with all the plants on them during the spring season. And so I've got to reformat things in here. I've got to clean it out. I've got to reformat it. It just doesn't work in its current form. I mean, I can do my work, but it doesn't work for certain things that I want to do, like MRE eating, like growing things. It's going to be, God, that's going to be one hell of a day. But then I'm like, shit, you know, today I just don't have the energy. And then I've got to reformat the garden too. That has to be done. So I've got a shit ton of work to do. Harrison Bergeron, there are no careers that require college. They should all be done with a good internship so they could earn while they learn. I don't think that I want to earn while you learn for nuclear engineering or something like that. There are certain things that should require a rigorous academic course. Otherwise, you'll end up with another 3 Mile Island or something like that. Last Rumble rant before the end, he said, ping us over and over again. He is obsessed with ping us. Well, I get the reference and find it funny. A little bit less ping us, maybe, in future live streams. Again, please send no more super chats because I've got to go and have a snack. I put that V8 somewhere. I know that I brought a can of V8 here, but it's not in the bag. I don't know where it is. It's a big problem. The bonus hole sticks. You should make your own brand of MREs. You should have multiple sponsors you could partner with who could contribute product to them. MREs are good. If there's an MRE manufacturing company that wants to sponsor me, they can always hit me up on Twitter DM. Joe, the Bible says, do not be afraid. That scares me because why do they want me to let my guard down? Yeah. I will say no more on that particular issue, although I could make a very sassy comment. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I will be live on... No, there's another one. Chewy Fernandez. Did you see Anna Luna? MAGA. Damn. Yeah, no, Anna Luna is pretty hot. Just saying. Definitely the hottest member of Congress, Anna Luna. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I will be live again on Monday. Of course, I don't go live on the weekends. And keep in mind, we're getting close to the presidential debate. Also, at 1 p.m., Mondays and Wednesdays, I am live with the Quartering. You should follow him as well. It's a good idea. And then between the two of us and some other content creators, you can get all of the news that you need to know about, because you ain't getting it from CNN. God, from CNN, you won't even get a straight answer out of an interviewee. So it's become a big problem. That's about all. Peace out.